All right, everybody. Thanks for coming to us today on Real Estate Success Series. We've got Tim Bratz here today. Tim bought over 4,500 apartments. We're going to talk about his journey before he was doing this, how he got into this, and what's his life look like now. How you doing, Tim?
Good, man. Excited to be here, bro. How are you doing?
Good. So we met at a mastermind group in New Jersey. Joe Evangelisti was running an event. My business partner thought it was crazy to spend $5,000 for 2 days, $2,500 a day. And it was worth every damn penny. I would never have known you and a lot of other great people from Mark Evans's group. So my tip before we get started, invest in yourself. There's never too much. So how you been, man?
Agreed, 100%, man. No, dude, I think that's one of the biggest takeaways. You know, I get a lot of people who hit me up on Facebook and social and Instagram and social media asking like, dude, how'd you get to where you are? And I can tell you, you know, the long and you know, painful journey that it takes to try to figure this stuff out on your own. And that pivotal point, dude, for me is when I started attending masterminds, when I started plugging into those events and, you know, just plugging around people who are actually doing things, right? And you find the more the event costs, the higher the quality of the people are in that room. You know, when I was going to free events, guess what, man? It was a bunch of people handing out cards for lotions and potions and juices and shit that they were selling, right? When I started going to $20 events like the Real Estate Investors Association, it was about 97% of the people in the front of the room had never done a deal, and there were 2 or 3 people standing like this in the back, all closed up, because they were the only ones doing business, and everybody was trying to leech off of them. And then I got invited out to a mastermind and dropped 5 G's for a 2-day event, and there were only 15 people in the room. And I realized, man, when you ask for 5 G's, it keeps the dipshits out, right? And the 15 people who are doing deals in the big room are in that little room. And then you get one-on-one time, you get some FaceTime with them, you can start building relationships and get their insights and get their perspective on what they're doing in life and what they're doing in business and how they catapulted to their success. And dude, that to me, it took my business for like on this hockey stick trajectory where it just started going up because I had access to their resources. They knew who the good CPAs were, who the bad CPAs were, right? They knew who the good insurance agents were and the bad insurance, the best mortgage brokers, the best title attorneys, the best, like, of all that stuff. They'd already been in the game for 20, 30, 40 years, and they knew the best ones. And I was able to then latch on to those relationships and jump into those immediately. They're private money investors that took them a decade to develop a relationship with. Hey, you should meet Tim and lend some money to him. And all of a sudden, that trust that they took a decade to build with that private money investor was instantaneously conveyed to me. And so where else can you get that, man? You can't get that anywhere else in the world. And sometimes you got to pay to play.
When I saw you in Cleveland, one of my best takeaways from our conversation was the 10%. You said to me, we were sitting at the dinner table. You said, I realized 10% of my time was my best asset. Well, I just double down, triple down, whatever you want to do, went at that. And as you walked away from the table, the guys were talking about that. Like,
and dude, that comes with awareness, right? It comes with me sitting back on vacation one year. And I think when you're on vacation, you get very, I don't know, you start looking at perspective, right? You start looking at, you get a little bit philosophical. And I was sitting back with a cup of coffee in the morning before anybody woke up, and I was doing my goals and my net worth and trying to, and dude, like I got hit in the middle of the forehead of like, holy shit, like, look at where am I spending my time? And then where am I making my money? That's an exercise everybody could do. It's like, dude, just catalog your time over the course of a week. Every 15 minutes, what are you doing? And then next to each one of those activities, put a $sign or a 0. Does it actually generate revenue or not? And then I took it a step further and I put a smiley face or a frowny face. Does it make me happy or not? And the things that made me happy and the things that generated revenue are the things that I personally focused on. The things that didn't make me happy but generated revenue, I hired people to do those. And the things that didn't make money and didn't make me happy, I removed from my life altogether.
When did you figure that out in your business and your life that you're much better with the team instead of Tim Bratz doing everything?
Oh man, great question. I think, I realized the power of leveraging OPT, other people's time, right? I realized that when I hired my first employee. And I remember, in 2014 was the first year I ever made 6 figures. And so I was 29 years old. And I went out to a mastermind in early 2015, the first one I ever went to. And they said, dude, you got to hire somebody, man. Like, you're doing your bookkeeping, you're doing rent collection, you're doing maintenance calls, you're handling eviction court. You're like, dude, why don't you staff some of that stuff out? Because Tim, dude, if you're doing $10 an hour activities, guess how much money you're going to make? $10 an hour times however many hours you're doing that activity. And for me, it was just doing more, right? And I was burning the candle at both ends, doing the $10 activities, and on top of trying to do $100 and $1,000 hour activities. And so it just, I was working 18 hours and just like trying to figure things out, waking up in the middle of the night, hammering out work early, staying up late, all that kind of stuff. And so for me, when I hired that first employee, when I got back and I did that activity that I just shared, of where am I spending my time, I took all the non-revenue generating stuff and I put it on his plate. And I just focused on the revenue generating activities, which in real estate is typically, from the investment side, is finding deals, raising money, and then either you're just dispoing properties, selling them, or you're managing them. So like, it's refining your operations. And so if you're not doing those three things, you're wasting your time. Like, you're not doing the actual revenue generating things. And I just focused on raising more money, dispoing deals, because we had the turnkey business at that time, and the acquisition side. And dude, I more than tripled my income from 2014 to 2015 because of that. And during that time frame, I also hired my COO, and I realized, dude, holy smokes, like, there's a lot of things that I'm doing that I hate doing, that I was like, nobody fucking likes doing this, that other people actually like doing. Like, right? Like, that other people like putting standard operating procedures together and measuring metrics on people's performance, and working on spreadsheets and data and analytics and all this other stuff that I couldn't stand doing. But I like doing the sales side, I like doing the marketing side, I like talking to people and networking. And I realized there's different behavioral types. Yep. And for every one visionary, somebody like me, there's 2 to 3 integrators, operators, COO type mindsets in this world. Yep. And so guess what, man? I can go and build multiple businesses because I just need to find those people who are really good at taking my vision and the chaos that I create, and then creating order around that and actually implementing that vision. And so when I realized that those people existed and not everybody was like me, and I was like, oh man, like, my COO doesn't want to get up on stage. He doesn't want to do podcasts. He doesn't want to be on social. He doesn't even have a social media account, right? So for him to do all those things is very draining for him. But him putting process maps together, right, and checklists together, and metrics in place, and KPIs, and doing those kinds of things, dude, that's a driving activity for him. So for me, that's a draining activity. And it's a driving activity for me to be on podcasts and to speak at events and to network and create social media content. And so guess what, dude? When I'm able to stay in my lane and focus more of my time on doing the things that I'm good at and I like doing, I do more of it, which makes me even better at it. When I'm better at it, I like it even more. And same thing with him. And then all of a sudden, dude, when you take two opposites and bring them together, 1 + 1 doesn't equal 2. It equals 3. It's the sum is greater than the individual parts in that process. And so when you realize that, and you bring on A players into your team, and incentivize them and compensate them properly, and get them, structure it in a way where they have ownership mentality, dude, that to me is an absolute game changer.
I tell people you just need 3 months of income saved. So if it's $5,000 a month, you need 15 grand. Within 3 months, you're going to get your money back on that person, plus 100% return on that year easily. You should get 300%. What's your coaching tip to someone saying, hey, Tim, this sounds awesome. I love all your theories. I love all your ideas. But guess what, dude? I am scared crapless going into a market we are right now to hire an employee. I can't afford it. What would you say to them?
Yeah. Is this somebody who's still working a job, or they actually have a business? They're just a solopreneur.
They're a solo real estate agent, real estate investor. They're grinding. They're doing good, but they're nervous. They don't have that money.
Dude, I'd say you can't afford not to, right? Like where you need to be investing your money. If you understand that people are an investment,
yep,
right? Meaning they're going to give you a return on your money, right? I realize in a lot of businesses that aren't managed or operated properly, people are an expense, right? And it's a big expense on the operation or on the operating statement. Usually the biggest expense in for a business is payroll. And if these are people that you're not interviewing and screening properly, right? You're not training them properly, and you're not measuring their performance, they're going to be a liability, which means they're taking money out of your pocket. But if you screen them, if you train them, and you measure their performance, then they will be a remarkable asset to you and your business. So that's the key, is you got to make sure that you're screening, just the same way that you screen tenants. Yep. You got to make sure you're screening your employees, make sure they're competent, make sure they know what the hell they're doing, make sure you understand what their behavioral type is on a DISC assessment, or there's 100 of those different kinds of things, and making sure you have the right person in the right seat. Then training them. And this is where I drop the ball a lot, dude, is I just like, hey, all we do is solve problems. Ready? Now it's your turn. Go, and I don't train them, and I expect them to have the same understanding and problem solving ability as me, who's been in the business for 15 years. And the reality is they don't. And you think about how many mistakes we made early on, and then we don't have patience with our employees. That's a problem. You didn't train them, and you're not having patience with them, or you're not giving them the authority to go out and make decisions. And they start bringing you every single question. You're like, why do I have this employee when I'm doing their job for them? Well, did you ever empower them to make decisions? And well, how do you do that, Tim? Dude, don't bring me a problem that's less than $1,000. I trust you to make a decision of anything up to $1,000. And then once you start building your team up a little bit more, dude, nobody brings me problems up to about $25,000, maybe even $50,000 today. Building burns down. What am I going to do, dude? Call the insurance company. You guys know exactly what to do. So I don't even hear about buildings burning down. Like, it needs to be a substantial cost in order for them to bring it to me. And so I say, hey, employees, you guys have free reign, free decision on anything up to $500 or $1,000. Beyond that, find another employee to give another set of eyeballs and another set of thought to this up to $5,000, let's call it, or $10,000. And then if it's up to like 50 grand, reach out to the COO and get his insights on it. If it's over 50 grand, then you come to me. And those numbers could fluctuate and have fluctuated based on where I was in business and where you might be in business. And so you got to empower your employees to do that. But going back to like the original question of, hey, I can't afford to hire somebody. First of all, I didn't think I could either, because I thought $40,000 a year salary. Oh my God, that's $3,500, $4,000, or $40,000, $50,000. That's a lot of money. But what I pivoted is, dude, it's not $50,000. It's $4,000 a month. Bro, what if all right, so hey, can you afford to make a $4,000? If you gave it 60 days and it doesn't work out, can you risk $8,000? It's not 50 grand, it's $8,000. And you're like, you know what? I guess I could. And that's a lot easier pill to swallow. And when that perspective was put on me, I was like, all right, let me go and test out an assistant for $3,000 a month. And dude, it made such a change in 60 days that, again, in the following 10 months, I made 400 grand. I had only made 130 the year before that. And in 10 months, I made 400 G's.
400
from a one assistant and joining a mastermind. Those two things is what I did that year.
Isn't that crazy?
Dude, you can't. I'm worried about a $40,000 a year salary. And you know what I was walking over? I was stepping over an extra $270,000 a year in income, net income to me, right? So it's like, that wasn't I netted for it. So it was actually, I made an extra $310,000 because I paid him 40. And then I made an extra $270,000 that year. And I had a better lifestyle.
People are better return than actually real estate investments. A lot of people, I think, have it mixed up. I think they're just as good or actually better than those investments. And a lot of times people say, you're in a real estate game. No, I'm not. I'm in a people game. I'm in the leverage game. I'm involved in changing people's lives to make my life better, their life better. And real estate is a byproduct. I'm playing in that world.
Understand what a real investment is, and dude, invest in assets over the course of the next 2 years. And number one is going to be your education. You can never take that away. You got to invest in yourself. You got to put yourself in the right rooms, and you got to be learning all the tools and strategies, techniques on how to do this stuff that will always stay with you, regardless of what the market looks like. Invest in education for sure. Invest in assets, right? Like actual tangible assets. Real estate is an asset if it's managed and operated well. People, are an asset. As Jeremy was just saying, if you invest in people, you will see a return on your investment. And the last one would be marketing. Marketing is always an investment. If you're marketing towards the right people, the right way, you will see, you spend $5,000 a month in marketing, you should see $50,000 or $100,000 a month in revenue that comes from that. So just make sure that you're investing in those assets, and you'll see a big return on it. And that's what the only places, those 4 things are the only places where I spend my money.
Thanks, brother. As always, you're unbelievable sharing your time. You're the real deal. You're a great friend. I appreciate it. I'm going to get this out. We're going to change some lives, and let me know when your next event is. I'm in. All right.